It's on Dubai I-103.8. Helen with you through until 4. Then you've got the debrief and then talking sport as ever into the evening.
This is Eye on Education on Afternoons with Helen Farmer.
With Horizon International School, a supportive student-focused international community school offering premium quality British education from the ages of 3 to 18.
We are talking finances today, but not ours. We're talking money matters for the youth. As teens prepare to leave school, step into adult life, one skill that is often overlooked is financial independence and being financially savvy. Saving, budgeting, earning, investing. We're talking about how senior year students can build some healthy money habits to set themselves up for a more secure future. And as I was confessing earlier, I didn't do it very well. Nick Radbourne is here, Deputy Head at Royal Grammar School, Guildford, Dubai. And I think it's quite normal for teens and, certainly for me at university to make some big mistakes. However, our knowledge has changed, our parenting has changed in the last 20, 30 years, and maybe we can do things a bit better. To your mind, why is it important to be teaching some financial independence before students leave school?
Yeah, good afternoon. I think, I was just talking to you earlier, I've got two sons who are both at university now. One of them is brilliant with his money, the other one is not so brilliant, and I've been supporting him quite heavily all the way through his university life.
So here's an interesting point. How do you deem that to be fair? Because this is something that me and my parents and brother struggled with a lot, because I was the one that was always like, Dad, or Mum, could you bung me 50 quid? And my brother was the very financially responsible one. And I'm sure if he put his honest hat on, he felt like he was almost punished for that because he wasn't getting the extra money because I was, going out every night.
I tend to support them as much. They'll get as much as the other one, but in a different way quite often.
Okay.
Because I do realise that, actually.
Yeah,
or I feel a bit guilty because I've given him some more money and Tom nothing.
It's like, am I rewarding you for being useless?
No, so exactly, But yeah, so I try and share that out, actually. But that's been all the way through their childhood. It was quite interesting. But I wish I'd taught them earlier, actually, about their kind of financial, how they support themselves financially, how they manage their money a little bit more effectively, because... But each came out very different anyway, so I think it's very difficult.
One of mine will not spend a dirham. The other one, any old sequined tat. She's all over it. And same parents, maybe not the same parenting, because we do change as parents as we get older, and there's a sibling in the mix and are confident. We know there's all sorts of different variables, but it is fascinating to think about the psychology of money just because of a sheer personality and who they are. What happens at school when it comes to financial, financial literacy? It is
financial literacy. I think that's something we've taken far more seriously. We run a lovely course in Year 7, actually, around financial literacy. It's run by Barclays Bank, actually, and it's something we pulled into the school in their PSHE lessons. It's fantastic. The teachers really enjoyed teaching it as well, because it was really effective, and you could see the children actually picking that up and learning and understanding.
And real life applications.
But applying how to use your money effectively. Where do you save your money? Mm-hmm. And it was interesting. I went to the canteen today because I knew I was coming on to talk to you. So I went and asked, the children, how do you save money? And the variation was absolutely massive. Some of them had, some of them said, I don't like getting Christmas presents. I much prefer I get shares in Apple. That's how they get their money. So it was that sort of thing. But other children were saying, actually, I have a bank account. You were talking earlier about Leap. I think one of them was talking about that and how that works, and they really enjoy using that, and they get rewarded if they save more money. So that understanding from a very early age, I think, is really important.
I think with mine, who are a bit younger, they know that I invest in stocks and have long-term investments, and they'll often ask, how are your shoe shares doing, or and I'm like, I wouldn't have a notion about stocks and shares. I wouldn't have a clue about that even 10 years ago. And it's something I'm very conscious of, that in the UK we had children's ISAs and where you could save money. And I've started saying to my girls, if you save up 300 dirhams, I'll put it in a high interest account for you, and then you can make a bit extra. But that means you can't touch it. And trying for them to understand what interest is, what the difference between a credit and a debit card is, because these are the kind of basics that can really trip you up or really set you up, I suppose. So tell us a little bit about your advice for for kids that want to be earning maybe a little bit more, we were talking before about chores being attached to money. You can't really have a part-time job in Dubai. Is that a challenge that you see with
Yeah,
kids?
very much so, because especially when I was teaching in the UK, that was fundamental to their education. They did work experience and they absolutely loved it and learned so much from it. Even if it was that job's so boring, I want to aspire to something actually that I'm really going to enjoy. Simple things like that. I don't want to do that. I want to do something else. But I think it is very hard. I think they can get a job, but it's almost impossible, to find somewhere unless you know somebody locally and do that. I think that makes it really hard. So I love the idea of chores, and actually talking to the children this morning, there were a lot of them talking about how they do chores at home. They get extra money for it. It either gets put into a bank account and they can make a decision how they use that money. And I think that bit's really important. Giving them the opportunity to make that decision. Do I save it? Do I spend it? How I manage my money, I think, is crucial. Having that from an early age to start having that thought process, I think it's really important.
Something my husband and I talk about quite a lot, and he says he wish had been taught to him at school was, if you want to drive a car like this, if you want to live in a house like this and go on holidays like this is how much you need to earn. And he's like, I would have made some very different life decisions if I'd been told at school what life costs.
Yeah. We try and do these little entrepreneur activities with the children. I did one with some other younger ones, some kind of year 7s, year 8s. They had to design a food truck. Sorry. And then work out the menu and how much that cost and where they would get the products to actually sell in their food truck. And that was fascinating for them. Oh, but I haven't got enough money. No, you haven't. So you've got, well, how are you going to save money? And that thought process, they get completely embroiled in it. And that's what you want to give them the opportunity.
And that extends out of school as well. That's conversations that we as parents can have that. Like the other day, it was really, really warm, and we walked past a food truck on Kite Beach, and my daughter was like, I bet they're not selling many hot chocolates today. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're understanding that they're probably selling more ice creams in 38 degrees than they are selling hot chocolates. And think about a food truck, what are some of the outgoings? And just weaving that into conversation of you're having to pay for that physical space. You're having to pay for the products, the food, the staff. But where are your incomings? And that's, I think, in such an entrepreneurial city, it's actually an amazing opportunity to, in school and out of school, for that to be part of it.
Yeah, and that you said earlier, that financial literacy is so important. And the more we can do with them, and we're building that into our programme, whether it's PSHE or whether it's different aspects we try and give the children.
So, as you prepare the RGS students to leave, tell us a little bit about the things that you would suggest they're more mindful of when coming to them managing their money in their final years of school.
I think it's starting to think about what they want to use their money for. It's kind of I'm talking again to some of the pupils this morning. They were talking about I have a savings account, but I can't touch it till I'm 18. That's going to help me get to university. So they're already thinking about that process. So giving them the opportunity to, what are you saving for? Where is that going? So especially the senior one.
But there must also be an awful lot of students where money doesn't mean much at all. Where we've spoken in the past on the show about basically affluent neglect, where it's, here's my credit card, go to the mall, I'll see you in 5 hours. It's a very unique place in that sense. And so much comes down to us as parents and how we have very, I hope, honest and transparent conversations about the value of money.
It's interesting. We do a global engagement week where we take all the pupils get the opportunity to go on a school trip, go abroad. And one of the things we do within that trip, we create a kind of school bank. So on the trip, they have to come to us when they need money. So they don't have their money. We manage it for them.
You've got the kitty.
We have a kit. So they'll come to us. Well, they all have their own little bank account. And they come to us and ask. They know how many days they've got. They know what they've got to spend money.
When it's gone, it's gone.
When it's gone, it's gone. And actually, it's a really good process. And having that conversation, they're going, "Oh, I need this much money. Why?" And we will ask that question because we have to challenge. What are you going to spend it on? We're going here today. What are you going to? And it's all those little things you build into your program as you go through. It's interesting. Taking the year 7s away, and now the year 9s who've done it for 3 years, are far more savvy, far more understanding of actually I don't need any money today. I didn't spend it yesterday. I can manage it a lot
Lived
better.
Lived experience.
Just little bits, yeah. It's about applying it to that kind of.
Nick, thank you so much for coming in. Really an absolute pleasure to catch up. And you can, of course, find Nick Radbourne and the team there at the Royal Grammar School, Guildford, Dubai. I find it very encouraging that it is now starting to be woven into the curriculum. It's been long overdue. Laura's saying, loving the discussion on money. As a small business owner, it makes it even more important to us to support schools when they ask the parents to support internships. It's so true. It can be very good information about what you do want to do, or as Nick said, what you don't.
Weather check
With Air Arabia, explore Vienna, Krakow, Warsaw, Athens and Milan.